Thank you.
And
All yours.
all yours, all mine. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this talk about the containers on Azure App Service. A few tips and tricks. Um, Many people here. I don't know if you are on Azure or not. So what I'll do is I'll have a couple of slides explaining exactly what the Azure App Service is for those who are not on Azure. Who am I? My name is Guy Barrette. I'm a dev trainer based in Montreal here in Canada. You can reach me at my Twitter handle, Guy Barrette, or Kate's online. You can send me an email if you want. If you have more question about stuff that I'm presenting today, my website is Kubernetes Academy online here. And what I do on a day-to-day basis is I teach containers and Kubernetes on various platforms. So I have live classes that I give from time to time, public and private, and also I have the online self-paced version also that are available also. So if you want to save a $10 on my self-paced courses, you can use this code user group and going to that URL kubectl.click/user group. You can take a screenshot of this print screen, and that's about it for me. Let's talk about Azure App Service. So what is Azure App Service for those who are not on Azure? Well, it's a platform as a service type of service where you can run applications. So what kind of application can you run on App Service? Well, you can deploy source code, compile source code. So let's say a .NET, a Java, a PHP application, Ruby. I mean, all the popular runtimes are supported. So you can deploy your source code like that, or you can also deploy containers on Azure App Service. And what I'll do is I'll focus on this part and giving you some tip and tricks throughout the presentation. So this is a platform as a service type of service. It's not an orchestrator like Kubernetes is. So it's like I like to tell people that, well, app service is like a little hammer, and Kubernetes is the big hammer that you can use for bigger nails, basically. So each one has its own use case, and for smaller type of workloads and applications, app service is perfect for running one or a couple of containers. So it's not a full orchestrator here. So benefits of using app service: you can run apps on Windows or Linux machines, virtual machines. Patching DOS is done for you since it's a platform as a service type of service. You get high availability. You can scale to multiple instances of your app. So instead of let's say traffic goes up, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 virtual machines, and it's automatically load balance for you. It's compliant for a number of these type of requirements: ISO, SOC, PCI, and the web part. There's a naming. Microsoft likes to confuse things with their naming convention. So there's a service called App Service, and also if you go to the Azure portal, you can locate another service called Web App for Containers. It's exactly the same service, but with some settings preset for you for hosting the containers on app service. So what is web app for containers? Well, it's app service plus integration with container registries like Docker Hub and Azure Container Registry. You can host a single Docker image, so a single container, and you can run also multiple containers using a Docker Compose file. So it's for smaller workloads, one or maybe 2, 3 containers, but it's not a full orchestrator like Kubernetes is. You can run Windows containers, and what's interesting about this this feature is that inside the container you can install drivers, tools, register common objects, let's say, something that you cannot do by default using using app service. So when you use the default app service and you deploy an application, since it's a platform as a service type of service, it runs in a sandbox, and you cannot install these drivers, these tools, or COM object. The way to do it is, instead of running your app directly and pushing your source code or your compile code, you run that code inside a, let's say, Windows container, and from there you can install, well, you can install whatever you want. So you can install drivers, tools, and these COM objects. All right. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation by entering them in the chat. I'll try to take a look at the chat window from time to time. Dave, you can also take a look at the chat window and interrupt me any time. Okay.
I got the chat window open, so if somebody's got a question, go for it. I'm watching.
Awesome. Cool. So let's start by creating our first web app for containers. So what I'll do is I'll open the Azure portal, and I'll click here. Is it big enough? That's better. I'll click on here on create a resource, and I'll type web app for, whoops, for containers, and I'll locate here web app for containers. All right. I'll click on create. And from there, I need to fill some information. So I'm doing this using the Azure portal, the web UI. You can do the exact same thing using the command line. You can also use Terraform to do the same thing. So first thing I need to select is my subscription, Azure subscription, and next is my resource group. So I created one earlier called Toronto DevOps. I'll select this one, and I'll name my web app Toronto DevOps. Hopefully it's available, yes, because it's part of the Azure Websites.net URL. And next, well, by default, since I used, I looked for the web app for containers service, by default, Docker container is selected, and also the OS is Linux by default. So I'll select my region, Canada Central, right, and I'll create a new data plan. The data plan is basically the virtual machine that will run the application. So I'll call it Toronto DevOps. As you can see, I have one that I created as a backup in case things go wrong. And I'll click here on deployment. There's nothing that I can set here. And in the next window or settings, what I'll select is here is single container. So I can select single or Docker Compose to host multiple containers. So I'll use a single container for now, and later on we'll see how to use the multiple container or upload a Docker Compose file. What I'll do is here is I'll select Docker Hub. So you can select Azure Container Registry, Docker Hub, or another private registry if you want. And what I'll do is I'll use one of my containers that I published on Docker Hub called Keyword here. Next, well, I'm done basically. What I'll do, I'll click here on Review and Create. And I'll click here on Create. So what's happening is that Azure is provisioning in the background a virtual machine of the size, the default size that was proposed to me. And then the container will be deployed to it. So there's two steps here, two things that are happening in the background: the virtual machine creation and then the deployment of the container. And it took what, 30 seconds about. So we're done. So let's click here on Go to Resource. All right. So here's the window, the overview window here, listing well the settings that I did set, and here's my URL: Toronto DevOps Azure Websites.net. So if I copy that on the clipboard, and let's paste this, and well, there's something happening. Nothing's happening here. Okay. Well, I know for sure. Go ahead.
I was just saying, does it usually take a little time the first time?
Yeah, it takes a little time, but I know for sure that this container won't work as is, because I know that it's listening on port 8080. So Azure App Service or Web App for Containers listens on port 80. So is there a way to change the setting so that my container listening on port 8080 will listen to traffic? And that's tip number one. Let's try to change a setting so this will work. So let me scroll down in the left section into configuration. And what we need to do is add a new application setting. Oops, by clicking here on new application setting. And it's called websites_port. And here I need to specify the port that the container is listening to. So in this case, 8080. I'll click OK. Click on Save. Click on Continue. Now the app will be restarted. Perfect. And at some point, I may need to restart it manually also. So let me do a Control F5 here to see. Whoops. Hop. I'll grab again the URL. Clock. . So sometimes I need to restart it completely. So we'll see if this happens. So the first time, and you have a good point, Dave. The first time you're gonna hit your websites that is running a container, basically. At that time, the service, app service, will do the pull of the container and then run it. So on the first hit, it might take a few seconds. So here I have an application error. What I'll do is I'll stop and I'll restart it. And hopefully this will solve the issue. If not, this will be a very short talk. Okay, it worked. So I had to restart it to make it work. So this is my container. It's a helper type of container where I'll be able to show the environment variable. There's a file browser also, so it'll be very handy throughout the presentation. All right. So our container is running. So since it's listening on port 8080, I had to set this environment variable or this setting called website support to map the port 80 that the service is listening to onto the port that the container is listening to. All right. Okay. My container does not start. Okay. How can I troubleshoot these startup events? Well, there's something called these startup logs, and we'll take a look at that. So in case your container does not start, what you can do, well, the first thing that you need to do is locate the deployment center to the left here, and then click here on logs. And you see the logs are displayed here in this window. So let me scroll up a little bit. So you see, these are the logs that the service is outputting when it creates the service, when it's pulling the image, the Docker image from, let's say, Docker Hub in this case. So these logs are super important because they will help you troubleshoot any troubles happening when you when something goes wrong, when the container does not start, or there's an error when it starts. So if I scroll down a little bit, you see that it's pulling image here. So in the background, it's a simple Docker pull that's happening. The service doesn't do something fancy. It does just a Docker pull here. We see the different layers, right? And let me scroll down a little bit. This is where I restarted it. Yeah, I stopped it here. As you can see, stopping site, it pulled the image again. And then here, if you're familiar with Docker or Kubernetes, it's a simple Docker run command that app service runs. So run -d detach, publish 8080 on port 8080, and different things. So these logs are super useful for troubleshooting any problems at startup. So this is the first thing that you need to check if something goes wrong. All right, so these are not the application logs, right? These logs are outputted by the service itself. All right. Now, where are the application logs? Well, what we need to do is enable these, because they're not enabled by default. So we need to enable them, and we need to find a way to stream them. Okay, so let's try to do that. So to do that, what we need to do is in the left menu here, we need to locate the this menu item here called App Service Logs. If I click on this, you see that application logging is by default off. You need to turn that on here, and you can optionally set some quotas. Well, by default it's 35 megabytes. You can also set a retention period, let's say 3 days here. And here, I'll click on Save. Okay, so what I just did is turn login for the application logs. So anything that your app output at the std out, right, will be saved to the file system here. What we can do, we can string these logs. If the menu item just below is called log stream here. So let me select that. And here's my log. This is the application log. So if I go back here, let me try to pull that to the side a little bit. Of course, it will go full screen. Damn. I hate that. Okay, let me do a few refresh. There we go. You see the last line, get. I'll do another one. So that's pretty cool. Our logs are streamed in that window here, right here in the Azure portal. That's pretty cool. What we can do also, let me go back here, is what we can do is stream these logs in a console. So let me go. I need to grab my. Okay. So I'll open a. Somebody has this. I think it's Dave. Dave, you have your mic open?
I do. Did you want it off?
Oh, well, there's some
noise?
background noise.
All right. I'll go on mute.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I'll tap AZ web app log tail, and the name of my resource group, which is Toronto DevOps, and the name of my web application, my web app, which is also Toronto DevOps. All right, let me run that. Hopefully I didn't make any typos. All right, so let's try to again refresh that page. So let's say a few F5 or Control F. There we go. So that's pretty cool. The logs can be streamed using the Azure CLI in any console window. So that's pretty cool. So you can take a look at your logs, your application logs, and do some troubleshooting that way. So either using the Azure portal, like I just did, by using the log stream window here, or using the CLI. All right. Any questions so far? We're good? Okay. Feel free to ask any questions. Stop me at any time. Hey, cool. Okay, let's go back to the list of tips and tricks. I need to troubleshoot, do some more troubleshooting. Is there more options to it? Well, yes, you can use the advanced tools, the app service advanced tools. So let's take a look at these tools. So in the left menu, there's a menu item in development tools here called advanced tools. So let's take a look at these. I'll click on advanced tools here, and there's a menu or a link called Go. If I click on it, it will open a new window. So I need to be authenticated. So I'll just select my account. I'm already logged in. So that's perfectly fine. All right. So these are the advanced tools. It will give you a web interface with other type of information. Let's say if I click here on environment, I will have a list of all the app settings. Let's say the environment variables. Right, there's a ton of them. There's some path settings, HTTP headers, right? Stuff that is injected by the service itself. So this is very useful if at some point, let's say your developers tell you, well, I'm looking for that environment variable that was supposed to get the, let's say, the connection string to the database. And well, it's not there. Well, just with a few clicks, you can double check to say, okay, let's say the environment variable, is it there? No, yes. Well, if it's there, you can tell the developer, well, you have the wrong name or whatever, and so that's pretty useful. The second tab is SSH. We can open a connection, an SSH session to our container inside app service. Oh, SSH connection closed, error, connect refused. Well, doesn't work by default. That will be my last the tip at the end of the presentation. I'll show you where to set that. So you need to do a little bit of configuration to make that work. We'll see that in a moment. Okay, let me go back here. If I click on Bash, okay, here I have a remote console here. Interesting. If I type ls, ASP.NET data log files site. Okay. Let's start by log files. If I do in, let's say, cd log files. Okay. When I enabled earlier the application logs, well, these are the actual files that are saved on the VM running my container. So I can do say a cat. Let me just copy this. Right, I can go there and try to look at the actual logs also. Whoops. Let me go back up. I'll clear my screen. Oops. Whoops. Okay. If I do an ls. Now, if I open that site folder There's a folder called whack root. If I do an ls on this one, well, it's not that bash session is not currently connected to my container that I deployed. It's connected to the VM that is running my container. So there's nothing really at this point that I can do to troubleshoot further my container. If I had deployed let's say PHP or a Java or a .NET application, I would be able to see the actual files in there because it will be running straight on the VM. Now I need to find other ways to troubleshoot that container, and it will be later by using the SSH functionality. That will be a little bit later. Okay. So yeah, earlier this week I answered a question on Stack Overflow. Somebody had the exact same situation where he deployed a container on app service, trying to open that bash window and said, where are my files? Where you're not looking at inside your container here. You're looking at the actual VM running your container. Okay. Let's click on the fourth menu item here called log stream. And guess what? Well, you can stream the logs exactly like we did earlier. So if I go back here, log streams here, it's exactly the same the same output, right? But from a well, full screen here. So nothing more, nothing less. It's just another way to get to the same application logs here. All right. So these app service tools here are pretty useful for troubleshooting. Questions so far? Sounds good. So let's try to take a look at our next tip. I need to set some environment variables. So how do we do that? Well, we will do that using the same application settings that we did earlier when we set the website's port to 8080. We'll use the same technique, and this will be the value will be injected as an environment variable inside our container. So let's try to do that. Let's go back. Let me close this. Let me go back to the configuration menu here. So configuration.
I got a good question.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, so can I connect to that SSH console from command line, or do I have to go over to the web browser?
From the command line, you will be able to do. I'll show you.
Okay, yeah, and again, can I just do it because it's a container? Can I just do a kubeconfig on my local machine and directly jump into that container?
No, I'll explain why.
Okay. Thank you.
That will be my 12 and last tips.
The list is getting longer.
Yeah, I'm at number 5 now. Okay, let's try to set this environment variable. So what I need to do is click here on New Application Setting, and I'll declare an application setting called hello, and the value will be world. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to click on save, continue. It's updated the app settings. So let me jump back to my keyword container here. And here in the left menu, I'll click here on server environment. And hopefully this will be injected. Yeah. Take a look here. Hello world. So to pass a value, it's super simple. You just create a new environment application here, application setting, sorry, and it will be injected as an environment variable. Now, what's the problem here? I can see my environment, well, my application setting here. So anyone that has access to the portal, to the application, can see the value here. So what if you want to protect that? And that's our next tip, right? What if you need to set some environment variables, but from key vault secrets, right? Okay, well, you need to, we'll see how to set these environment variables from key set secrets here. So let's go back to our here, and what I'll show you, I previously created a key vault called DevOps, and it has in this menu here, it has a section called secrets. And there's a secret that I created earlier called Hello Key Vault, right? So it has already a value. And what we'll do, we'll try to connect these two together. So the value, the secret from the key vault will be injected as an environment variable. And me as a user, well, if I don't have access to the key vault, if I have access to the app service, click on the application setting, I won't be able to see that value. Okay, so let's try to do this. Let me go back to my app service, right? And in the left menu, in the settings section, there's a menu called Identity. So I'll select that, right? And here I can create two types of identity: system assign and user assign. For demo purposes, it's easier to use a system assign. The result will be the same. You can here assign a user, something like that. Here, what I'll do is I'll click on here, click on save. That will enable system assign manage identity for my app service, right? So I'm creating a managed identity for my app service. That should take just a couple of seconds. Yeah, that's done. Okay. Now, I need to tell the key vault, I need to authorize that managed identity inside the key vault. So I need to tell key vault, Toronto DevOps app service, yes, I authorize you to read the secrets. Okay, so let's go back to the key vault. And what we'll do, we'll try to do that. There's a menu item called Access Policies right here. I'll select this. I'll add an access policy. The template will be no, nothing here. Key permissions, yeah. Sorry, secrets. I need to set these secrets. You can set a policy for the key, for the secrets, for the certificate. What I need to do is have a get, a list permission on top of secrets. Okay. And I need to select the service principal or the managed identity. So here, I think if I type Toronto, yeah, Toronto DevOps, that's the managed identity assigned to my app service. So I'll select that.
So there are no additional usernames, there are no additional credentials, it's just app talking to an app, right?
Yeah, exactly. Say machine to machine, service to service, basically. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to click here on save. What's pretty cool, you don't have to manage a user, basically, because that managed identity is basically a user, but for these applications, the services running in Azure. Okay, let me go back here to my app service, and from here we'll create our application setting. So I'll click here on new application setting. I'm going to call this application setting from KV, from Key Vault, KV. Now here's the magic here. I'm going to copy the actual value that I'm going to use right here. So look at what am I passing here. So a kind of a object called Microsoft.KeyVault, and then the address of my key vault. So here it is. The type of object, it's a secret, and the actual secret name, LOKV. So let's try to do that. I'm going to click OK. I'll click Save, Continue. Okay, I have an error here. Could not access key vault reference metadata. Let me refresh. Okay, did I made a typo somewhere? Look, okay, let me just double check the Azure DevOps key vault, the URL, Toronto DevOps Vault, Toronto DevOps.vault.azure.net, live debugging. Secrets, LOKV, that's the name of my secret, LOKV, yeah. Let's just double check the Azure policy. Let me delete it. Let me try to recreate it. So just make sure that I don't make any mistakes. Secrets, get list. There's no setting. No, I don't want to give these permissions. So Toronto. Yeah, that's the only one I have. Okay, select. Authorize application. Okay, sorry. I think I I missed here. Let me just. No, should be there. Okay, let's try it again. Toronto. Okay, authorized application. Okay. Save that. Okay. Finger crossed. Let's go back to our app service. Configuration. Okay. Let me delete it. Save it. Let's try to recreate it. Okay, let's add a new application setting. We'll call it from KV. Hey, live demos. Let me double check here. Gonna open a notepad just to make sure that I don't have any extra characters or something strange that I copy.
Is it the space?
Yeah. Space. Oh boy. Yeah, when you copy from a Word, yeah.
Real life demo.
Yeah.
Those are the real things that happen all the time.
Yeah. Finger crossed. Hey, no errors. Yeah. Okay. And look here. Look at the message that I have. Key vault reference. Ah, interesting. If I click on it, we'll have the actual value. Haha, no, not at all. I don't have the value, but let me refresh this page. And do I have my value here somewhere? Yeah. Oh. And it didn't work. I have this value here. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm gonna refresh this. I may have to stop. Let me do again. Okay. I'll try to stop the application. Right. And start it again. And let's do a Control F5 here. Bum, bum, bum. I think it was cached. Finger crossed. No, no, that didn't work. Oh. Okay, I don't have any spaces, right? Okay, well, last time I demoed that, it worked on first try. For some reason, would have to do a little bit of debugging here. Here, I should have my actual value from the key vault. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Just I may have made an error or something like that. Maybe in the let's go back here, the key vault.
Jam put a comment in the chat that just says, hi, you probably need to create the secret in the vault to be read from.
Well, it's there. It's right there. It's I can create a new one. Let's try hello KV2 content type, hello world. Right, okay. Oh no. Let's create a new one. Okay. Name. Hello KV2, and the value is hello world. Okay, now I have the value here. So let's try to, okay, let's do a last try, and if not, we'll move on. Live demos. What's weird is that the last time it okay, let me set LO2, LOKV2. Let me save that. Okay. Control F5. Still cache. I guess I need to restart my container. Okay. Should take a moment to come up. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, there it is. No, okay. I goofed somewhere. Might be in the policy, the access policy here. Let me just try it last time. If I add an access policy, secret permission, get list. Here I type Toronto. Select, add, save. There's no other saved. I didn't miss any saves. Okay. Okay, last time. Ah, the joy of live presentations. And from KV. And here. Now, same thing. Okay, let's move on. Sorry about that one. Last time it went it went okay on first try. Okay, so if it worked, from the actual portal, there's no way for me, if I don't have access to the key vault, to see the actual value here. Of course, if I connect to the actual container and I look at the environment variable, I'll be able to see the value. But if I have only access to the portal, I won't be able to see the actual value coming from the key vault. Okay. Okay, so deploying just one container is a waste of resource. Now what I did is I configure a virtual machine to run my app service, but I'm running just one container. What can I do to deploy more containers, pack more information, basically, more containers inside my app service? I can use a Docker Compose file to do that. So let's try to do that. What I'll do is I'll open this folder with Visual Studio Code, and we'll take a look at a Docker Compose file. And the Docker Compose file has two containers. So a front end and a back end running a Redis cache here. So it's a voting application, and the results are stored in a Redis cache. So there's two containers in this application, and by using a Docker Compose file, I'll be able to upload this. Okay, so let's try to do that. Let's go back to the portal. What I'll do is I'll create a new web app for containers. And this time, I'm going to select my same group. I'm going to call it Compose Demo 1. Yep, that's fine. I'm going to use the same app service plan that I created earlier. So basically, I'll be running a second application on the same VM, underlying VM, sorry. This time, I'll select Docker Compose, and I'll get my containers from Docker Hub. What I'll do is I'll copy the folder name. Will be faster. Okay, I'll select my Docker Compose file. So here it is. And I can click on Review and Create. That should take a couple of seconds. Form validation failed in Basic tab. What did I do? Basics. Oh, name is not available. Okay. T-O.
Just try two.
Yeah, two.
Instead of one, just two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. So it's funny, maybe between the time I was on the first screen and then I click on create, someone else in the world created created an application called Compose Demo 1. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at our in our deployment center at our startup logs, and we should be able to see two containers starting. Pulling image Redis. Okay. Docker run, and then pulling image Azure front. You see, two containers running in this on the same app service plan. Awesome. And now if I go here, copy my URL. It should take a couple of seconds. There we go. My app is running. I'm going to vote for dogs, and another dog, and maybe a cat. So that's pretty cool. Two containers running in the same service, basically. Okay. But let's say you have multiple containers. An application with multiple containers but you need to expose them over the web, because right now, if I take a look at my Docker Compose file, this, the front container here is listening on port 80, right? But this one is not exposed on the web. In this case, this is totally fine. I don't want to expose my Redis cache on the internet, right? It's local. It both can talk to each other on the private. From one entry point, we can reach multiple containers inside. Any question? It's good. All right. Most containers are stateless, right? How can I do that? Well, you can use the storage offered by the actual VM. So we created earlier in Azure VPN, which is a VM. So there's a storage available here. So we can leverage that. Whoops, how can we do that? Let's take a look. Let me just refresh that. And let's go back here. So what we can do, hold on just a sec. So let me retrieve my first container, oops, sorry, run to compose DevOps here. Okay, let's take a look at the settings again. Oops, this is the VM, sorry. I need to, not the app service plan, but the Azure DevOps here, Toronto DevOps, okay. Let's take a look at the configuration. And there's a setting here called Websites Enable App Service Storage. And by default, it's set to false. So what we can do is edit this setting, set it to true. Okay. Let's save this. Okay. And now we have access to the underlying storage here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so what we can do is launch the advanced tools, let's say. I click here on bash. I do an ls. If I create a directory called web app storage, right? I think I'll be able to see it here. Hold on just a sec. I think I messed up with my demo. Yeah, I need to upload a YAML file. Docker compose, choose file. No. There we go. Let's save that. So to be able to map the folder onto my container, I need to, even though I have only one container, I need to use a Docker compose file so I can create a volume that will map using that variable the home folder to a local folder inside my container. So let me go back here. Let me refresh. There it is. There it is. Okay, web app storage. So now I have access to the storage inside my VM here. So that's fine, but maybe the best thing would be to use an Azure storage service like Azure blobs and files. So is it possible to map a path to blobs and files storage? Yes, it is. So let's take a look at this. Whoops. And what we'll do, we'll go back here. And I'm going to use a single container here. Good. I'm going to fall back to the single container by using simply the instead of using a Docker Compose file. I'm going to select this, but it'll be the same container. Perfect. Perfect. Now, if I let me go back here just to make sure that it's running correctly. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So I don't see the one that I defined in the previous demo. That's perfect. What I'll do is I'll try to connect to some storage from on Azure. So let's go here on configuration, and there's a tab called path mapping. What we'll do, we'll mount some local storage to Azure Blob and Azure Files. So I'm going to click here on New Azure Storage Mount. I'm going to call it My Blobs. And I'm going to select a storage account that I created earlier, right? So like any good cooking show, I created some stuff earlier. So that's my storage account, Toronto DevOps. It's an Azure Blob, and I have a container called My Blobs. I'm going to mount that to a local folder inside my container called My Blobs. Perfect. And look here, mounted blobs containers will become read-only in February 2020. Well, that was more than a year ago, almost 2 years. So this technique of mapping a path to Azure Blob is read-only. Okay. Now let's add a second one. This time we'll use Azure Files. Again, I'm going to select the same storage account. This time Azure Files. I'll select my container. I've already created a container. I'm going to call it, the local file will be, folder will be called My Files. Okay. So you saw in the second one, I didn't have any warnings saying it's read. So files are read write and blobs are read only. Gonna save that. Perfect. Gonna go back to my my keyword container. Gonna refresh. I may have to restart it. Let's see. Let's see. Still running. Finger crossed. Oh yeah. Woohoo. Worked. My blobs, my files. There we go. And if I click, let's say, on my blobs, you have something. I don't have anything. You have something in my files. I can upload a file there and basically be able to use that storage. But the mapping worked. Awesome. So this is pretty cool because we're hitting storage that is external to the app service VM. So basically, if something goes wrong, I need to recreate my virtual machine and then redeploy my application. the storage is external to the actual VM. So that's pretty cool. Okay.
Divine is asking in the chat, not really a question, just more of a, is there anyone else new to the Linux space? I think Linux has gotten pretty popular for containerized.
Oh yeah. For a number of reasons. Reason number one, it's cheaper than running the equivalent Windows VM. So from that point of view, that's pretty interesting. And also the containers that you'll run, the Linux containers are a lot smaller than their equivalent in Windows. So they will start faster. They will start. They will run in less memory also. So you're leveraging the resources. So your VM will cost you less, and you'll be able to use smaller virtual machines to run these containers also. So that's a lot of benefits here. Okay. Next tip, and we're almost at the end, and I already went over my time, but how can I easily deploy a new version of my containers, right? Well, there's a feature called continuous deployment that you can enable in App Service. Well, take a look at that. If I go back here, I'm still in the configuration settings here, right? What I'll do is I'll click here on, no, sorry, I need to to click on deployment centers. They moved stuff recently from configuration to deployment centers. So I'm still sometimes confused by one and the other. And look, this is where I find the settings for my container, right? Single container, Case Academy, keyword, right? And there's a setting called continuous deployment. So what happens if I click here? I don't have a demo to show you exactly what's happening, because it might take a few minutes to run. But what's happening is that this will create a webhook between your container registry and your app service. And app service will via that webhook will be notified when a new version of your container has been pushed in the container registry, and will pull that that container for you automatically. So you just need to push the new version of the container in the registry, and then the magic is with the webhook. Your app service will pull the new version, and we restart your application. So two things to take in mind here. This is not an automatic. Well, it will not happen in an instant. So when you push your new version, it might take a few minutes for app service to be notified. And number two is, during that update process, your web application might be not responsive for a few seconds. Maybe the time that the new image is pulled, the other one is discarded, and the new one is restarted. So keep that in mind here. Okay, last tip. How do I connect using SSH? We saw earlier that we had an error earlier. So how can I connect? So what I'll do is I'll open a new folder where I have a container. I already pushed a container with all the configuration in my container registry, but I just want to show you that by default there's no SSH service running inside your container, so you need to install it or use a base image that has an SSH service inside the container installed. So if you don't have one, you can look at the Azure documentation. There's a few files that you need to include in your container with some specific configuration. You need inside your Docker file install the SSH service. You need to create a user. You need to assign a password. So here the user will be root, password will be Docker ! And so on. So there's a few settings that you need to that you need to do. Okay. So once you do that, what I'll do is I'll go back to the portal and create a new resource, and I'll deploy that new container for containers. Toronto DevOps web app. We'll call that. Let's call that SSH demo 1. Is it? Let's not take any change. Toronto, Canada Central. We'll use the same VM. Docker, it'll be. Let me grab the name of my container. I have to run it one. Okay. Let's create this. That should take a second. So that container has all the right configuration. The SSS service is installed with the right configuration. So we'll try to connect using SSH here. So let's wait a couple of seconds. Yep, we're good to go. And let's wait for it to be responsive. I can take a look at my deployment center, my logs, just to be sure that everything is up and running. Pulling, download, blah, 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 blah. Still extracting. Refresh. Okay, running. Woohoo. So yeah, better make sure that your container is running before trying to do stuff. So let's click here. Well, we have SSH and we have advanced tool. We saw that in the advanced tool we have an SSH menu. Let's take a look at this one. Well, it will bring us to the same page. Will it work? Yeah, it worked. Okay, so am I connected to the virtual machine or the container? So I know that my my app is deployed to a folder called OPT startup. If I do an LS, yeah, that's my node application that I know that I deployed inside this container. So I'm really connected to the container using SSH. Now, Max, you asked earlier Is it possible to connect to using a terminal? Yes, it is. So I'm gonna terminate my. Okay, let's try to connect here. Now I'm going to run a command called AZ web app create remote connection. I need to specify my subscription, and I need to specify my resource group. So it's Toronto DevOps, and the name of the app service. So it's TO/SSH demo 1. Okay, let's run this. I'm not using SSH at this point, right? Okay. Toronto DevOps TO/SSH. Let's try again. Toronto DevOps TO/SSH demo 1. Oh, that is strange. Now, what this command is doing, it's actually trying to open a secret tunnel, because you're not connecting directly to maybe I have an extra space like earlier, group Toronto DevOps, and name, it was TO. You just double check TO. Right. So it's trying to open a secret tunnel here. So let me go back here. Clear. Oh, okay, it worked. Okay, look at the screen here. App is running, trying to establish tunnel connection. So opening port 55577. So you need to be authenticated to Azure to be able to open this SSH connection. So it's not a standard connection that opens freely on the internet. You need that tunnel to make that work. So it's a very secure way to connect to your container here. Okay. So what I need to do next is run an SSH with that port. So 55577. So let me just open a new tab. Oops, CL. Whoops, port 55577. Yes. Password, it's Docker exclamation mark. Yoo-hoo! I'm connected. So you need to open that tunnel to make that work. All right, and then I can close my connection, Control C, terminate that job. And this is how you create your SSH connection. You need to open that that tunnel to able to connect. Woo! Okay, only one demo didn't work. that wasn't
Nice.
too bad. Phew. So hopefully you, if you already used app service, you learn a few tricks. If you have any question, you can. You have my email address at the beginning of the presentation. You can reach me by email. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. And any question before we end the presentation?
Guess not. Good job.
All right.
Thank you very much, Guy. That was great.
Thank you very much. It was very informative. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And if you're watching on YouTube, well, have fun and experiment with the app service and the containers.
If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, somewhere along the during the presentation, I lost power for like 2 minutes, and so hopefully recording is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be.
If it's not, I apologize. But again, thank you very much. Thank you for your session. Thank you everyone for joining. The next one is in January, and it's going to be a bake-off between GitHub and Azure DevOps. Once again, thanks. If there's anything else you would like to, if there's any other presentation, any other topics you would like to hear on, or more importantly, present on, let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Max and Dave, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Coming. It was great.
Great.
Bye, all.
Bye.